Hey, you. Finally awake.
Hi, my name is Dosphere, and today I'm going to be trying to play Skyrim. Skyrim is a game that was made in 2011 by Bethesda. It's well known for its timeless fantasy setting, immersive gameplay, and astounding combat. But today I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit and play a bit differently. I'm going to see if you can beat Skyrim, bow only. That means I can only use the starting bow that you get in the beginning of the game, as well as iron arrows, which are the worst you can get. So, will I be able to defeat the human enemies? What about the wild animals? And what about the monsters that litter the underground dungeons and caves? Let's find out. My journey started in Helgen. Why was I there? Well, I was being executed. But, good news, I was saved. But, bad news, it was a dragon. Luckily, I woke up to a familiar face, Rayloff. He was watching me sleep. He told me that his friend Gunjar sacrificed himself so that I could live, and now I owed him his life. I proceeded to strip him down, dance on his corpse, and hide and abandon Rayloff to the hordes of Imperial soldiers. Once I escaped, I headed down to the Standing Stones. I was going to choose the Thief Standing Stone, as that can help me out with archery. On the way to Riverwood, I met a new friend. His name was Mr. Orc, and he was the best. But then we were attacked by wolves. He tried to defend me as best as he could, but then tragedy struck. Mr. Orc was killed by the wolf. You'll be missed, Mr. Orc. But then the wolf collapsed. An arrow pierced its heart. Who was it? It was Rayloff. How did he survive? I didn't know what to do, so I froze. But then as he passed me, he said this.
I'm glad you decided to come with me.
As I entered Riverwood, I knew that I needed to buy myself a new bow. It needed to be the right one, but it was too much money. But then I remembered that if I can make Faendal my follower, I can get his bow without having to fight anyone or buy it myself. I was going to use Faendal's glitch to level up my archery, but I decided not to as it interfered with the challenge. So I took his bow, but then I realised I needed iron arrows. So here are the rules. I'm only allowed to use a bow. This is the hunting bow. I was going to use the original one, but I couldn't find it straight away. And besides, they literally have the same amount of damage, so it's not that bad. I was only going to use iron arrows, as they're the cheapest and the first arrows you get. And I'm not going to use any spells or magic or anything like that, except for shouts, but that's only to progress main missions. So, I needed to make myself some arrows, so I bought some iron, chopped some wood, and I made as many as I could. I think I made around 400 arrows, and this would last a very long time. And then I was off to Bleak barrow to get the golden claw and the dragon stone. I fought some berserkers in the hills, and then I entered the tomb. Bleak barrow wasn't too difficult. They were mostly just level 1 bandits and skeevers. So I ran past most of them, fought some of them, it was none too hard. But then I found an Australian tiny baby spider, got disease, and then I defeated the spider, and in my rage I murdered Arvel the Swift, and I grabbed his golden claw. Next it was time to fight the Draugr Overlord. This guy was pretty tough, but I ran away from him and shot him at a distance. It took a while, but eventually I did manage to kill him, and then I took his dragon stone. After this, I returned back to Riverwood. It was getting dark, and I entered the trader, and I gave Lucan back his claw. He thanked me, and I told him about the horrific adventure I went through to get it. He paid me, and then he told me to go and get the Jarl. So then I set off into the wilderness. When I reached Whiterun, something quite weird happened. I arrived at the Khajiit camp, and there was no one there, so I wasn't able to trade with him, which is a bit odd. And then I met Idolaf. He said I had stones for ears, so I shot him in the head. And then the next thing I knew, I was locked behind bars. Not ideal. When I got out, I ran to meet the Jarl. As I approached his throne, his weird little dark elf friend started approaching me. I didn't know what to do, so I ran away from her, and I didn't want to let her catch me, and she nearly did, but I managed to slip away from her. And then I ran up to the Jarl. He was less than impressed with my little sneaky skills, but I apologised to him, and then he let me sit on his lap. After this, something very weird happened.
I won't forget it. Not now. Not now. Not now.
Once I was finished seeing the Jarl, I was off to the western watchtower to defeat the dragon. I tried to steal a horse to get there a bit faster, but the horse caught me and told the stableman, and then I got a bounty. Anyway, I fought the dragon. It was pretty hard, but the guards did most of the work. I claimed its soul, and then I returned back to the Jarl. I tried to sit on his lap again this time, but he wouldn't let me, so I was quite disappointed about that. So out of anger, I stole this bottle of wine, but it didn't go as planned. They threw me in jail again, but it was fine. I would only be out in a few days. I was in that cell for the next 30 years. When I got out, I remembered that I still had that disease from the rat, so I needed to figure out a way of curing it. But then I met Heimska. He told me that if I sold my soul to Talos, the god of the Nords, I would be cured forever. So did I say yes? Of course I did. Once I was done with that, I hitched a ride to Riften, because it was time to go and see the Greybeards. Now, Riften is a very, very dangerous place. Not 5 minutes after I left the castle, I was attacked by rats, and I was attacked by a pack of wolves. I didn't want to fight them, so I ran to a cabin. I stopped to have a quick read of a book, and then I ran to hide inside and let the rest of the people deal with that. A man flirted with me, and then I was offered a free sample of something. I didn't know any better, so I just drank it, and then something very terrible happened. I woke up in a cage. There was a strange man outside saying that I was his thrall, and I was not having that, so I ran for my life. Once I escaped, I just ran off into the woods, hoping that they wouldn't follow me. After running for miles, I met a strange group of men on a bridge. They offered to have a drink with me, and I said that I would give them another one. He was very impressed with me, and then he told me to come with him to have some more. Oh, that was interesting. Well, anyway, now it's time to climb the 7,000 steps to High Hrothgar. Let's do it. Once I got inside the temple, I started shouting at the shadows. I did some parkour to impress the old men, and then they taught me how to run at the speed of light. Next I was off to get the Horn of Jorgen Windcaller. This place was a bit difficult, but I ran past most of the enemies because they were distracted fighting the undead demons and the like. And as always, I did it my first try. But oh no, the horn's gone, it's a note. And I had to go to Riverwood to find out whoever took it. When I got to Riverwood, I saw the strange men in masks, and I approached them, but then I remembered that what they will do, they will hurt me. They had very violent intentions. And then I was talking to the other one, and then their friend just started trying to kill me, which was not nice. But the whole village rose up in defiance, and it was quite beautiful actually, until Alvor died. No! No, Alvor. No. No. No, I can't keep losing my friends. You will be missed, Alvor. Anyway, I went to the inn and I slept. And while I was waiting for Delphine, I started playing with this bottle of mead, but I immediately lost it behind the bed. I was trying to grab it, but then Delphine walked in on me and it was pretty awkward.
So you're the Dragonborn I've been hearing so much about.
And then she led me into a secret dungeon where we started making plans for an assault on Kynesgrove to kill the next dragon. So I took the very next carriage to Kynesgrove and prepared to fight the dragon. Now this fight wasn't easy at all, but I found that in this challenge, as long as I had a companion that would fight the enemies for me, it was never too difficult. So as before, Delphine just tanked all the dragon's attacks as I hid and shot it from a distance. The battle was pretty crazy, but in the end we managed to vanquish the beast. And then I absorbed its soul again. Next up, I was off to the Thalmor embassy to find out more about the dragons. Now, don't get me wrong, the Thalmor embassy was not at all easy, but I ate plenty of food and I think I beat it on my second or third try. I just had to be a bit more careful here than the rest of the game. I tortured a teen and figured out where Esbern was, and then I escaped the cave. Now it's time to go and find Esbern. The Riften sewage system was not too hard at all. I just ran past most of the enemies. I even somehow managed to piss off the whole Thieves Guild, but I just barged through them. Then I met Uncle Fester. Now this man was very interesting. He tried to eat me, and I was trying to get Esbern to help me, but he just told me about some weird war or something, and alduin, so I just kept running around in circles, and Uncle Fester nearly killed me. Well, then I decided to man up and take him out with my bow. I know it was Esbern's uncle, but it had to be done, and I took his gorgeous hat. Esbern then told me his life story. It was pretty boring, I wouldn't really pay attention. We fought our way out of the sewers. This bit was pretty easy because Esbern is a badass. I played a prank on Embry, and then I was christened with the burp of an old man. I'll skip past the whole Parthenax section because that's not very interesting. So let's talk about Blackreach instead. Blackreach is probably one of the hardest points in the game, but as always I ran past all the enemies and I did some pretty sick parkour. I thought I was going to die here, but I actually survived, which was pretty awesome. And I actually did this my first try as well. And in order to get the key to the lift, I just let all the Falmer kill the Centurion. And then I grabbed the Elder Scroll. Elder Scroll. That's the name of the game. And then I used it to learn how to defeat Alduin. Speaking of Alduin, it's time to have the first battle with him. Now, if I'm being honest, this is probably the hardest point in the game, because Parthenax doesn't really do much to help you, and Alduin constantly spams this weird thing where meteors start hitting you. So this took me a couple goes. Next it's time for the boring peace conference. I'll skip past most of this because it's pretty boring. I think I sided with the Stormcloaks. And now I was going to trap a dragon. Now this part was very easy. You literally just have to shout at him and then lure him back. I climbed onto his back and we were off to Skuldolfin, the final part of the game. Now here I was actually a bit worried because I didn't bring as many arrows as I should have and I ran a bit low. And it was very hard because I was trying to save as much as I could for the final boss fight, and this led to me dying a few times. But I stuck to the shadows and used my ammo anywhere where I needed to. And then I evaded some traps like a badass. And I defeated another Drugger Overlord to get the Diamond Claw. Now here, this guy, you don't actually have to fight him. I just ran past him and jumped in before he could pick up the staff. And then I entered into Southern Guard. The tall gentleman wasn't too hard to fight. I just climbed up to where he couldn't reach me and I kept shooting him until he surrendered. And then I met my 3 musketeers. And now it was time to have the final boss fight with Alduin. Now this boss fight is a lot easier than the first one, mainly because you have your 3 little musketeers to fight him, and he's mostly distracted with them, so you can just sit fighting him with the bow. And the one advantage of the bow is that you literally just hide and shoot out of range. I did come close to dying a few times, but I just kept eating food and drinking potions and they kept me alive throughout the fight. Then I landed the killing hit, and I defeated Alduin with only the hunting bow and iron arrows. I was kind of surprised here, because I was very close to dying, and I got a bit worried at the end, but the tall man helped us out, and I was sent back to the overworld. But then I remembered that there was one more thing that I needed to do before I could end the challenge. Thanks for watching, guys. This video took a very long time to make, so if you could like and subscribe, that would mean the world, and comment if you want to see more challenge videos just like this one. And I hope to see you in my next video.